A report from the Wall Street Journal over the weekend reveals a $500 million deal tied to the Trump family with a top foreign official.
Just days before Trump's second inauguration, the Journal reports 49%, nearly half of the Trump family crypto company, World Liberty Financial, was purchased for $500 million by Sheikh Tahnoun bin Zayed Al Nahyan, who heads the United Arab Emirates State Investment Fund and serves as national security advisor, sometimes referred to as the spy sheikh. The deal confirmed in a statement from World Liberty Financial to ABC News.
That's ABC's Jay O'Brien. Israeli officials say the Rafah crossing connecting Gaza to Egypt has been opened to limited pedestrian traffic for the first time since October 2023.
There are many people who fled, especially people with dual nationalities who are desperate to get back into Gaza. And there are many people, especially those who only have Palestinian citizenship, who've basically been unable to leave since October the 7th, 2023. So that's significantly over 2 years.
ABC's Ian Pannell. NASA hit a snag as it prepares for the next Artemis mission. The launch team found a leak while fueling its new moon rocket at the Kennedy Space Center. The team is working on the problem. 3 Americans and 1 Canadian are supposed to perform a 10-day moonshot this month. The Federal Department of Health and Human Services is devoting $100 million to a pilot program focused on homelessness and substance abuse in 8 cities. I'm Stephanie Officer, ABC News.
Surprise! Your expenses this month were way higher than you expected. Also, you forgot to renew your website domain, and now you're in a bidding war.
You should see the look on your face.
At Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Plus, the fridge died in the break room, and now everything smells weird.
All right.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
It's 5:05 on this Monday afternoon during KVNU's For the People show. And I will feel like your local headline. Well, 2 people were pulled from Manaway Reservoir yesterday afternoon after falling through thinning ice while fishing. Officers with the Manaway Police Department said they responded to the reservoir just before 1:30. Witnesses had reported that the man and woman were ice fishing with friends when the surface began to crack beneath them, sending both plunging into the water. Now, police deployed flotation devices to reach the pair, and authorities credited bystanders for their immediate help during the incident. Now, both individuals were medically evaluated at the scene and later released. Now, following the rescue, officials issued a strong warning regarding the warming temperatures and deteriorating ice stability. Police stated that they understand the desire to ice fish is there, but it's not worth the potential of getting injured or possibly worse. Well, turning to news on Utah's Capitol Hill, a bill that would eliminate permit requirements for raw milk producers and also expand sales options in Utah advanced through a House committee. House Bill 179, which was approved by the House Health and Human Services Committee on Friday, is now shifting possibly the state's regulatory framework from a permitting system to a notification requirement. Well, for the first time, the measure would also allow producers to sell raw milk and related products off-farm at producer-owned retail locations. Now, while the bill removes the permit mandate, it does impose, though, strict safety conditions regarding refrigeration, pathogen testing, and animal health. Products must carry detailed labeling, including safety warnings, and if the milk is linked to a foodborne illness, the state must immediately issue a cease and desist order. Now, the bill still has a ways to go. It is moving to the full House for consideration. And a driver is facing felony charges after leading police on a reckless high-speed chase Saturday that stretched across 2 counties and required 2 separate deployments of tire spikes. Now, according to the Manaway Police Department, the incident began along Sardine Canyon near mile marker 7 when an officer attempted to stop a speeding vehicle. Now, the driver accelerated to evade the officer, prompting a chase that extended into Cache County. Now, officers initially terminated the pursuit due to safety concerns. However, the chase resumed after highway patrol troopers successfully deployed tire spikes. Now, as the suspect returned southbound toward Brigham City, local officers deployed a second set of spike strips. Now, despite sustaining significant tire damage, the driver continued to recklessly drive toward Brigham City before a UHP trooper eventually intercepted the vehicle and conducted a high-risk traffic stop, taking the man into custody. And finally, attorneys for Corey Richins have renewed their request to move her murder trial out of Park City, arguing that a completed jury questionnaire is proving that she cannot receive a fair trial locally. Now, in a motion that was filed on Friday, the defense cited data showing that over 85% of the 1,700 potential jurors surveyed said they had recognized the case. Now, of those, approximately 60% also admitted to following the case in the news. Now, the motion stated that it's obvious that Ms. Richins does not have a reasonable likelihood of getting a fair trial in Summit County. Now, Richins is accused of fatally poisoning her husband with fentanyl in 2022. A judge had previously denied a venue change, but the defense argues that this new data leaves only about 251 potential jurors who have not heard about the case. Now, jury selection is expected to begin next week before the trial. Well, we're going to see clear skies overnight tonight as temperatures are going to be dropping into the low 20s. Did you see that moon last night? Oh, it was beautiful. They call it the snow moon, full moon last night to start off the month of February. And now tonight, looks like we're going to continue to see clear skies in through tomorrow as temperatures Wednesday will be back into the high 40s, low 50s coming for Wednesday, and it looks like we'll see mid-50s by the end of the work week. And it's Dr. Keith Nelson that brings you weather here at the top of the hour. For over 27 years, he's been providing pain relief from knee pain, sports injuries, and arthritis, all here locally in Logan. You don't have to leave the valley to receive pain relief. It's Dr. Keith Nelson. Get more information by visiting his website, drkeithnelsonortho.com. And I'm Will Feelright for KVNU News.
News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
This just in from Cherry Peak Night Skiing. While most of Utah is waiting on storms, Cherry Peak is making snow, and it shows. Cold temps, deep bases, and fast, fun night terrain, all at the lowest prices around. Night passes start at $25, and when you're done, grab a burger or a soda at the Peak Grill, just minutes east of Richmond. Night skiing Monday through Saturday, 5 to 8. Friday through Sunday open all day. Details at skicpr.com. We'll catch you at the Peak.
Everyone has an estate, but do you have an estate plan? This is Jace Allen, Northern Utah's estate planning attorney. At Allen Law Office, wills and trusts are what we do. If you've been putting it off, now is the time to get it done. Don't wait until it's too late. Protect your loved ones, protect your legacy, protect your assets. Start today at cashlegal.com or just search Allen Law Office. Wills and trusts are what we do. Allen Law Office.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Hour 2 of today's show. Still warm out there. 49 degrees at 5:12 in the afternoon. We've lost a couple of degrees, but this is still 10 degrees higher than the average high this time of year. So it's pretty spring-like out there. I'm liking it, but I get it. It also causes concern. There's a little anxiety out there, I think, about the weather, about the snowpack in general. The water outlook for this coming year, it's not we're not too far off from the extreme drought years of 21-22, and there's there are similarities. Some of the same things that were happening in 21 when Governor Cox declared the most severe drought. I think it was as early as April, I believe, when he made the declaration that Utah was in the worst drought cycle in 75 years. And then it didn't get much better in 2022. Got a little too better in 2023. We were blowing snow out of our driveways mid-April that year. And then kind of back to normal and now kind of creeping back to drought. Understandably, there's anxiety out there, especially in the agricultural community. and in the communities working to rescue the Great Salt Lake as water gets more scarce elsewhere. Efforts to bring the water levels up for the Great Salt Lake's health, so we don't lose that permanently one day, get a little harder. So it tightens the screws on everybody. What are we looking at? Well, we've lost a couple of percentage points here in the Bear River water region. We're down to 76% of normal as of the state's Snowpack report from the Utah. This you can see this at water.utah.gov/snowpack. But the Utah Division of Water Quality and the Utah Department of Natural Resources team up on this to publish a new map each week. And last week on Tuesday last week, I was out Monday. We were at 78%. We've dipped down to 76. The Weber-Ogden area has dropped 6%. They went from 56 to 50% of normal. And remember, this is of normal. This isn't like a final report, so it's unlikely. But, for example, this storm in the forecast coming in next week, if it does turn into a much bigger thing, we could see 76% go to 86% or even 90% very quickly. Here's the thing with snowpack. It melts. And so really what determines your percent of normal, two things: how much precipitation you're getting and how far apart those I'm just going to go home. Just dead air for the next hour. I can't talk today. How big the gap is between those precipitation events. Those are the two biggest factors that determine the percentage of normal. So we could jump back up in a couple of weeks and head into the spring and summer months, feeling a lot better than this map looks today. Or it could get worse. We could see, a 2-month gap between significant precipitation events, and the 76 here in northern Utah could drop to 56. So it's who knows is basically the end of that sentence or the end of that paragraph. Here's what we look like today, though. Again, 76% of normal, down 2% from last week here in the Bear River region. Weber-Ogden area lost 6% on their total. They're at 50% of normal. Well, northwestern Uintas, they didn't lose as much, but they haven't. They're not where they should be. They dropped from 74% last week to 71%. Same with the Duchesne area, and then things took a real turn. The Provo, Utah Lake and Jordan area, one big water district there. On at least in this map, that they dropped from 65% of normal last week to 49% of normal. The warm temperatures, they just saw a lot of snow melt in a week's time, more than 10% loss in their percent of normal totals. The Twila Valley, Vernon Creek area, they're way down to 29% of normal. It just stays that way pretty much through the state, below 50% of normal in Sam Pitch and the Price and San Rafael areas. Lower severe all the way down to 24% of normal. That's bad. Upper severe, Dirt Devil, and southeastern Utah, all under 50%, 47, 43, 43 respectively. Southwestern Utah, now not quite as bad actually, believe it or not, as their snowpack percentage. I had to go back and look. Last year at this time, they were below 30%, and southwestern Utah has kind of stayed in that drought throughout most of the summer last year, and then saw a bit of a more wet fall than we even saw here in northern Utah, and got things back up. They've dipped back down, 42% of normal. Not as bad as things looked last year at this time, but still below 50% of normal. 42% of normal there for the Cedar City, St. George area. And then, interestingly enough, the Beaver area just above southwestern Utah's district, and the Escalante area, which is probably one of the driest areas of the state generally, they're holding steady. I mean, not great. 53% of normal for the Beaver area and Escalante area, and down just over the Arizona border, 60% of normal, and holding steady for whatever reason. I think most of that is the fact that most of their water is not in a snowpack. It's mostly in reservoir and mountain lake storage that doesn't evaporate as fast with temperatures a bit cooler this time of year. The problem with that is that as temperatures warm, as we head into June and July, their percentage without precipitation, again, is going to drop very quick. So, yeah, that's the overall look for the state right now. Again, here in northern Utah, we lost 2 percentage points in our percent of normal report for the week, down from 78% last week to 76% of normal. And as of right now, no significant precipitation events in the future. So, and again, the determinant on this percent of normal weekly update from the state is amount of precipitation in any event, but also the frequency of those events. How many days or even weeks go by between precipitation events? Your totals can go down very quickly. But again, we do have at least a 40% chance of rain, snow next Monday, and potential lingering snow showers into Tuesday and Wednesday. And that, of course, here in northern Utah at least can mean that a lot more in the mountains, and we see that snowpack total in the mountains go up quickly. So that 76% here in northern Utah can change very quickly, and then, of course, it could get warm again, melt everything off just as quickly. So this isn't meant as a predictor. This is a way to kind of look at where we're at, and the obvious takeaway, of course, is that things don't look as rosy here in northern Utah for our snowpack and our water situation heading into the generally dry, hot months of summer. If something doesn't change, and it could, it's Utah. If something doesn't change, we are headed into a similar drought situation as we saw in 21-22. So no emergency declaration from the governor this year yet, but definitely some concern, especially as you get below the Weber-Ogden area roughly. Every other part of the state south of Weber-Ogden is in the red. So fingers crossed that the precipitation comes and comes frequently enough, but right now, just not happening. If you want to see the map that I've done my best to try to describe to you here verbally, water.utah.gov. I've also posted a screenshot of the map published this morning by the Division of Natural Resources and the Utah Division of Water Quality. A screenshot of that on our Facebook page, or again, water.utah.gov/snowpack. By the way, they have updated the website with tips a little bit here for conservation, for separated into 3 categories: farmers, residents, municipalities. We're not using a lot of irrigation water right now, obviously, but those months are coming, or those times are coming quickly, and they're asking that people just kind of check into this. There's a lot of new science, a lot of new developments, and a lot of really simple things you can do, whether you're in agriculture, whether you're a resident just talking about your lawn or the water usage inside your home, or a municipality that maybe wants to look into different types of irrigation and even land planning that can save how much water the city is using as well. So every city has large strips of grass that don't necessarily need to be grass that needs to be watered. But it's very costly to undo that, right? To change that. But, I think we need to be talking more about that expense. We always need the parks. We need those recreation sites for soccer, for softball and baseball games, things like that. And that's going to require water. Golf courses remain popular. I know a lot of people like to gripe about those, and those are just people usually who don't golf. I'm one of them. I get it. But it is a popular sport. It is, we can have a debate another day on whether it's a sport. But it is a popular sport by definition, and it does draw a lot of business. It is also something that a lot of conferences look for still. The conferences that draw hundreds of people to town for a weekend at no additional cost to taxpayers or the city, and yet they spend a lot of money at restaurants and hotels while they're here. Many of those conferences won't locate somewhere where there isn't a municipal golf course that people can get access to cheaply. So I don't think it's time to start talking about getting drastic on any of those things. But again, there are miles and miles and acres and acres and acres of grass within every city in a spot that doesn't necessarily need to be grass. So The state has some tips on that, on how cities can start looking at this differently. But again, also residents, what you can do inside and outside your home that makes a bigger difference than you realize without much of an inconvenience. For the tips in the agricultural community, a bit different story. There isn't a lot that can be done in the agricultural community without pretty extensive and expensive upgrades to irrigation systems and more, or even changing what you grow and when you grow it, which isn't easy for especially a family farm to do. The state is looking at helping. Speaking of that, there is a bill this year aimed entirely at that, encouraging conservation in agriculture, but also using some taxpayer dollars to make it possible for some of these smaller family farms to actually switch over, save themselves money, and save a lot of water at the same time. We'll talk about what that bill says and its current status right after this.
Get your furnace fixed. Call Gary Riggs. Get your furnace fixed. Call Gary Riggs. If you're having heating trouble and you need your furnace fixed, just pick up the phone and call Gary Riggs. 435-512-6633. We'll come to you. Our service fee is low, just $25. We repair all brands and have certified installers. Get your furnace fixed. Call Gary Riggs. Get your furnace fixed. Call Gary Riggs.
Winter's cold winds, dry air, and blowing heaters can leave your eyes feeling more irritated than ever. Hi, this is Dr. Rebecca Freeman with Northern Utah Eye Center. We diagnose and treat dry eye disease with easy in-office procedures such as IPL or LipiFlow that provide relief and comfort to dry eyes this winter season. All of us at Northern Utah Eye Center are dedicated to providing excellent care for all your eye care needs. And thank you for voting Northern Utah Eye Center Best Ophthalmologist and Best Optometrist in Northern Utah. Visit northernutaheyecenter.com or call 752-2020 today.
You're gonna love what you see.
Is your health and wellness journey just beginning? The Sports Academy is more than just a gym. It's a community that offers something for all ages and fitness levels. Are you ready to feel empowered, energized, and unstoppable? See for yourself why the Sports Academy is more than a gym. Check out our community today with the largest weight rooms, certified coaches, trainers, and instructors that will keep you motivated. Welcome to the Sports Academy community. Your club, your results, your life.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And if you have both Medicare and Medicaid, you may be eligible for a United Healthcare Dual Complete plan if your Medicaid status has changed. A Dual Complete plan may help you get more benefits than original Medicare alone. Visit uhcdualplans.com to learn more. That's uhcdualplans.com. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage you can count on.
With that Snowpack report, our water situation, and the likelihood, at least as it looks for the time being, that we're headed into possibly another drought designation year. Maybe not as severe as the emergency declaration Governor Cox issued in the spring of 2021, but as things are stacking up, just a lot of similarities to 2021, 2022. So unless we see a change, which we could, entirely possible, it's Utah, right? But unless we do see that change, again, a lot of similarities to those 2 years in the way this winter has played out, and things heading into the end of winter, start of spring appear to be in the long-term forecast. So what that means, of course, is water. This is back on everybody's minds, more so than it was last year and the year before. And that is also translating through into the legislative session. So Snowpack report at the start of the hour there showing everybody just kind of slowly trending downward in their percentage of normal totals each week, as you would expect based on looking out your window or stepping outside and feeling the temperature and noticing the lack of storms. That does mean that legislation dealing with water is getting higher likelihood of getting a debate and passage. One I want everybody to look at, very well-intended bill, but one that I can guess either is going to be controversial, or might end up being controversial after passage if it's not handled carefully. But it is House Bill 328, sponsoring lawmaker Representative Clint Okerlund, longtime state senator Ralph Okerlund's son. Okerlund now retired. He has a bill, again, House Bill 328, called Water Usage Modifications. It's not a complicated bill, really. It does a few things. It directs municipalities and counties to take certain actions related to land use regulation when water is a consideration. Now, this does include a across-the-board, statewide prohibition on overhead irrigation. Where that could get controversial is, you can see where the lawmaker's going with this. Overhead irrigation is probably the least efficient way to irrigate, and it's not widely used in residential and municipal designs these days, but there are some areas where it is still used because of old systems. And the issue, though, that you're going to run into on this one is there is still a decent amount of agricultural land within a city boundary, and definitely within a county boundary. Obviously, you're going to run into these situations where, this bill is basically saying that, within county boundaries, within city boundaries, basically anywhere that is not an unincorporated area, this would ban the use of overhead irrigation, which is still widely used, especially by small family farms. So expect some controversy there, and I would say expect the bill to change quite a bit on that front. But this bill also prohibits owners and developers of land being developed for residential use to undertake any new development or even redevelopment of land, again, with overhead irrigation in mind, but also what is referred to as non-functional turf. So to put this another way, this is a bill that says in the state of Utah, developers will be banned statewide from including in their development anything that is going to require any kind of overhead irrigation, again, a very inefficient way to irrigate, but also anything that falls into the state definition, at least, of non-functional turf. That is grass that's just there to be green. It's not there because it's a place for people to sit in the shade and have a picnic. It's not there because it's a park. It's not there because it's a recreational facility where grass is needed, like a soccer field or a baseball diamond. It's just grass that's there to be green. Specifically mentioned here in the definition, by the way, there are some carve-outs that are considered active use. Any sports field, any social gathering area, an amphitheater, a park, a play area, and that does include driving ranges, putting greens, things like that, and then cemeteries. Although I really think we should reconsider that exception. Do we need green grass at the cemetery? I don't know. I'm not sure how people would feel about that if you ripped it all up and it was just gravel, in between the headstones. Maybe that would be a problem. Maybe that would be, I don't know. But that's a lot of grass that has to be watered, mowed, and maintained. That's just there to be green. But there is an exception in this bill for cemeteries, at least. And then there is an exception right now for agricultural land or land that is currently in agricultural use. And then final exception to this would be common interest community, which is it's a very old state statutory term for something that's been there a long time and where there's a common interest for leaving it alone, a historical site, an area that is important to the community for, because it has a cultural value, so things like that. This also tasks the state, UDOT specifically, with taking up a frontage debate. This is, those portions along I-15 where you see these parcels of land that abut a highway or a freeway exit or entrance or things like that, public roadway right-of-ways, and they try to have, foliage there to stop erosion and runoff, and then generally just to, pretty the place up for travelers a little bit. This bill would, so there's already a lot of work here in Utah voluntarily to replace, water demanding grasses, because many of these areas don't have sprinkler systems. So grass, if it's not maintained, then becomes a wildfire risk. So there's already been a lot of work in the state to use different types of grasses or even not grass at all. I've seen some areas where they're using like a green spray and a bit of netting over that. This bill actually takes that and just codifies it. Says that when we're talking right-of-ways and parcels that abut highways and freeway entrances and things like that, statutorily now, you won't use anything that requires water. If it's foliage to stop erosion and pretty the place up, it needs to be native and something that can handle getting dry and without being a wildfire risk. And finally, in this bill, this is where things are going to get really controversial because, I'll tell you this, Bear River is mentioned a lot. In this bill, which again is just seeking to do away with grass and other foliage that is just there to be green. It serves no purpose. It's just the way we did things when we were pretending we didn't live in a desert for decades. And so this bill says get rid of it. And more importantly, get rid of it as soon as you can. There's no mandate or timeline on that. But this bill does say very clearly, going forward, no more of it, banned in the state of Utah. There is a part in this bill, and again, you can read this for yourself. It is House Bill 328, sponsored by Representative Clint Okerlund. And this portion of the bill where Bear River, Bear Lake come up quite a bit. And keep in mind, Okerlund's not from northern Utah. I'll just read it to you. There is a mention in this bill for something called the Great Salt Lake Drainage Area. And this is defined in the bill as the surveyed meandering line of the Great Salt Lake, including drainage areas of the Bear River or the Bear River's tributaries, drainage areas of Bear Lake and Bear Lake's tributaries, the drainage areas of the Weber River, Jordan River are also mentioned in here as well. And in this bill, it basically says they fall into the category of active use. And here's the part that could be controversial. Active use unless designated otherwise by state authorities. Now, why is that controversial? Because it's just the state saying basically we're calling that active use. So we're not saying that there can be no foliage in the drainage areas of the Bear Lake or tributary areas of Bear Lake or the Bear River region, because, of course, that's part of the river's health. That's part of the whole ecology of a river, basically, these drainage areas. There's a lot of foliage there. It does not have to be maintained or watered, but it does at times require maintenance. Why is this mentioned in the bill? Well, that's what everyone was asking. If you read further down, what the state is basically going to do, if this bill passes, it hasn't even been assigned to a committee yet, but if this bill passes, what the state is basically going to do is take those decisions away from cities and counties and say this is something the state will review situation by situation, whether or not a development near or abutting against drainage areas for the Bear River and Bear Lake areas, whether or not they can have grass at all. This is going to be controversial. This is going to get a lot of debate. The rest of the bill is pretty innocuous. It's saying you don't need grass in park strips. You don't need grass along driveways or sidewalks for municipal buildings or even commercial areas. Use something else. And the state overall is going to ban the use of overhead spray irrigation outside of agriculture for now, but everywhere else, and the use of grass that's there just to be green. But this one part, again, is going to be controversial because it is this tiny little paragraph in the bill where it says the state will assume decision-making authority for developments on whether or not they can have grass or what they have to plant or if they plant anything at all, what kind of irrigation can be used in those developments, if they are near what they're calling the Great Salt Lake Drainage Area, which includes Bear Lake, its tributaries, every body of water and river in northern Utah in the Bear River region. The state would take basically management authority when it came to development decisions. And there is nothing in the bill that spells out exactly how that's going to work. So keep an eye on this one. House Bill 328. I would assume Cache Valley lawmakers have a lot to say about this one, but keep an eye on it yourself just in case. We'll be back with more For the People after the news with KVNU's Will Feel Right.
Well, thanks, Jason. Court documents that were released over the weekend are detailing violent altercations that occurred Friday during the anti-ICE protest that was held in downtown Salt Lake City, where police say they arrested 4 individuals after the group allegedly blocked traffic and refused to disperse. Now, Hayden Cockero, a 19-year-old, is facing felony charges after police say he punched an officer, threw him to the ground, and later kicked another officer in the face twice while handcuffed. Now, documents described Cockero as being the main agitator who eventually required a full body wrap due to his aggressive behavior. Now, another protester, 18-year-old Benjamin Green, is accused of assault with a dangerous weapon. Police allege that Green used a metal cane to violently strike an officer in the groin while resisting arrest. Now, Serenity Burrup, a 25-year-old, was also booked for failing to leave the roadway. The Salt Lake City Police Department stated the assembly was declared a riot once traffic was obstructed, but they noted the vast majority of demonstrators remained peaceful. Well, authorities have identified the 22-year-old Riverdale man who was killed in that collision along I-15 near Perry last Thursday morning. Jordan Sever was pronounced dead at the scene after his vehicle reportedly struck the back of a semi-truck and then veered off the highway just before 2 a.m. Now, Utah Highway Patrol Lieutenant Cade Brenchley said that Sever was driving a white Hyundai Elantra southbound. Witnesses had reported the vehicle was traveling at a high rate of speed with its headlights turned off prior to the crash. Now, investigators determined the Elantra had clipped the commercial vehicle on the far right lane before leaving the roadway. Sever was not wearing a seatbelt at the time of the accident. Now, Raquel Sever, the victim's mother, announced her son's passing on social media. She described him as an intelligent and genuine individual who was a devoted brother, son, and uncle. She also noted his passion for playing and teaching people how to play chess. And 3 people were hospitalized over the weekend following a 2-vehicle collision that happened in Ogden that investigators say involved an impaired driver. Police responded to the crash scene at about 4 o'clock. According to officials, a man was driving a blue Honda Civic and ran a red light, striking a white Toyota Camry carrying a driver and 1 passenger. Now, the Ogden Police Department said in a statement that impairment appears to be a contributing factor in the crash. Ambulances transported the occupants of the Camry to the hospital, while a friend drove the Honda driver to a local hospital. Authorities reported that all 3 individuals suffered serious injuries but are in stable condition. And finally, a 61-year-old woman from Florida died last week following a ski accident at Park City Mountain Resort. Now, according to resort officials, the incident happened back on January 27th along an intermediate trail near the Dreamscape lift. Now, Park City Mountain Ski Patrol responded to the scene and transported the woman to the University of Utah Hospital in Salt Lake City for emergency care, but she later succumbed to her injuries and was pronounced dead at the hospital. Now, Deidre Walsh, Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of Park City Mountain, said in a statement that on behalf of the entire Park City Mountain team, they shared their heartfelt condolences with the family and friends of their guest. Well, we're going to see clear skies tonight as temperatures are going to drop back into the low 20s. Tomorrow, pretty much what we saw today. Sunny skies, a little bit of haze with temperatures in the high 40s, low 50s. And we'll just continue to see this forecast repeating itself all week as temperatures gradually warming up. By Friday, we'll be into the mid-50s. It looks like it's going to stay in the mid-50s as we head into the weekend. But we do have a chance, although it is a small chance, but maybe, just maybe, the first of next week, we could see some snow headed our way. And weather here at the bottom of the hour brought to you by Jace Allen at Allen Law Office. He is Northern Utah's estate planning attorney. When it comes to wills and trusts, that's all they do at Allen Law Office. Give them a call today at 435-227-5468. And I'm Will Feelright with your KVNU local headlines.
ABC News, I'm Stephanie Officer. The Pima County Sheriff's Office tells ABC News they do not believe Nancy Guthrie went willingly, and her case is now believed to be a possible abduction or kidnapping, saying she was taken in her sleep. Officials confirming today they do indeed have a crime scene in the ongoing search for the 84-year-old mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. ABC News contributor and former FBI agent Brad Garrett discusses what questions officials need to consider.
Need to immediately interview the staff that works in the house. Who was the last person who saw her? Did she get telephone calls right before supposedly she disappeared? All of those things you need to know.
Fresh off his mega win at the Grammys, Bad Bunny will once again dominate attention Sunday as this year's Super Bowl halftime performer. The NFL's championship game draws over 100 million viewers worldwide. Notable acts including Michael Jackson, Beyonce, and Kendrick Lamar have shaped the show's
business
legacy.
owners, when it comes to your commercial insurance coverage, you deserve the best. This is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance. As an independent auto owners agency, we have access to many carriers and will give you options. We work hard to protect your business because you've worked hard to build it. Let's give your insurance coverage a fresh look. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Call us today, 435-752-0101.
KVN News for the people. What else is going on Capitol Hill? Well, a lot. I understand that it's early in the session, and for busy people, of course, the last 2 weeks, everyone knows, is when the more controversial stuff really starts to happen rapidly. But another item on top of the water bill I mentioned before the news that could have some pretty vast ramifications for city and county decision-making when it comes to development in the future. If the state assumes this power via that legislation I described, there is another one you should pay attention to as well that affects pretty much anyone in the state. Total tangent. USDA's NCRS report out just a few minutes ago, and they are reporting a record low for the state of Utah snowpack-wise this year. This is the USDA puts that out for agricultural planners, farm bureaus, and things like that. And they say as of January 31st, Utah's statewide snowpack equivalent measured on the through Snowtel weather stations the USDA has around the state and around the country, an average of 5 inches, which dipped below the previous minimum observed record of 5.2 inches for the date. Now, again, that is statewide snow equivalent, not any particular area. Just a 0.1%, but or 0.2%, setting a new record there for this time of year for average, statewide snowpack as an average. Just saw that. All right, back to what I was saying. The legislative session underway. There is less talk this year of tax cuts, though they have been mentioned. It isn't getting a lot of attention so far. Like I say, it's early in the session, so we can see that change. But one that you're going to want to pay attention to, Senator Jerry Stevenson, he is not seeking re-election. So this will be his last legislative session as a state lawmaker, but as he is the budget guy, still one to pay attention to, and they're working on the budget, and details are just kind of trickling out about the projections. So they'll have actual numbers to work with for the state budget on how much revenue they have, how much they collected in 2025. Right now, they're working with the estimates of how much they have and will have to collect to build this state budget. They'll have the actual numbers in a few weeks. So right now, still working with hypotheticals. This is kind of what they're talking about. Possibly a 0.35% reduction, 0.35% reduction in the state income tax. State Senate President Stuart Adams has said he'd still like to get it down to a full 4%. But he said this might not be the year to do it. So they're sitting on that a little bit. But that's not been crossed off the list, though it's not a guaranteed. There is a lot of pressure from both sides. There's a lot of pressure from some lawmakers to end the family benefiting earned income tax credit that was expanded for families of 4, I believe it was, a couple of years ago. There, with the idea that they'd go back and pull that back when the economy was a little more stable. That was a response to the pandemic in 2020, basically, and maybe it was a panic, I don't know, but there was a push to expand it. They expanded it in the legislative session of 2020, left it in place since then for 6 years now, and now they're thinking about pulling it back. So that earned income tax credit for families would go away. There's immense pressure to not do that. That is also equaled by immense pressure to do that. So I don't know where that one's going to land. If you are in the film industry, they're talking about a pretty significant tease, if you will, to draw film production companies into Utah to make movies here, basically. People scoff at this, but and there are far more examples along the same lines, but the reason the state actually likes to do this is not just to make Utah famous or say, oh, that movie was filmed in Logan or that movie was filmed in Richmond or anything like that. There is actually an economic reason for this. It's similar to what now former Logan City Mayor Holly Daines used to say, that tourism money is free money. They come here for a weekend. They occupy hotel rooms. They spend a lot of money at restaurants. They go see something in the theater. They go to the movie. They go buy some new pants and shirts or souvenirs or whatever it is. They're here a couple of days, maybe a week, spend a lot of money while they're here because they're on vacation. We all do that, right? And then they leave. They're not a permanent draw on the sewer system or the roadways, or they don't have kids in schools. They come, they spend a lot of money, and they go home. That's everybody's dream when it comes to revenue. That's the easiest or the best way to make money from tax revenue when you're a city, a county, or a state. This is the state's version of that, and this is just low-hanging fruit. But this is significant, and a lot of eyebrows went up when this was announced yesterday, I noticed, on social media. Even some lawmakers saying, wait, what? Senator Jerry Stevenson says that they are looking at a $12 million tax credit that the Utah Film Commission says would. So right now, the Utah Film Commission reported to the legislature late last fall that film productions in Utah are spending approximately between $100,000 and $200,000 per day while they're in town in rural communities, rural counties. That is huge. I mean, I knew it was a lot, but I didn't realize it was that much. 100,000 to 200. Well, I'm sorry, 100,000 to 250,000. I missed that 5. 100,000 to $250,000 per day in rural counties per day. Every film production in the state, on average. That's a huge amount of money. And of course, you know where that's coming from. When a film crew comes here to film, they're here for a few weeks, maybe a couple of months even, and they're filming, a big Hollywood blockbuster or a TV show. Doesn't matter. Either way, they're here. Everyone on the film crew is from out of town, most likely, so they're staying in hotels. They've got all their equipment. They've got to hire, places to store it. They've got to rent storage. They've got to rent places to actually, build or put a temporary office together. Everyone here is eating, and that might be shopping at the grocery store and taking it back to their hotels or condos, or it might be going to restaurants, probably a combination of both, just like when the rest of us travel for work. This is free money. The infrastructure costs to the state are minuscule, and compared to the revenue that they're drawing in, and that's huge. They're spending between $100,000 and $250,000 per day when they're filming a movie or a TV show or whatever it is in Utah, and that's most likely going to be in a rural area that might be struggling otherwise economically. That's huge. So the Utah Film Commission presented that report. The result of that report, presented to lawmakers again late last fall, is the proposal in the budget of a $12 million refundable tax credit. That's huge. But Senator Stevenson said that the Senate's budget chief, he's the guy, he said, I'm going to bat for the rural film incentives in Utah. He said, these incentives bring in a lot of money. This sounds like a lot, a $12 million refundable tax credit, but they bring in a lot of money. This one is a good one. And he says that it's his final session. He is going to bat for that one. $12 million tax credit. Wow. But again, they're spending $100,000 to $250,000 a day in rural Utah whenever they're filming here. You can see why the state is interested in drawing these production companies in to film in Utah. But again, you're going to have to explain to the rest of Utah the $12 million refundable tax credit for the movie production companies if they come here to film. Yeah, that's significant. But again, budget chief in his final session, meaning he doesn't run for re-election, he's got nothing to lose. He says he's going to bat for this one. He said that if he gets his way, this will be in the state's final budget. Check it out. I've linked to it, at least what you can read right now of the budget. There's not a lot of language actually written. This is a bill called the Bill of Bills because it's the actual only constitutionally mandated job they have to do for this 45-day session is build a state budget. That will be finalized roughly in the final week of the session, but we'll have more solid revenue numbers a couple weeks before that. And we'll see if things like a $12 million tax cut for any production company that comes here to film in Utah, whether that survives the budget drawing process. Again, I've linked to what little we know will be in the budget, and it's a tiny amount. Some for schools, obviously going to be in there and more, but a tiny amount as of the overall size of this $30 billion state budget that is actually written into the bill right now. But you can take a look via the link on our Facebook page, and we'll be back with more of For the People right after this.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
We're here with Chuck, founder of Dollar Loan Center. Chuck, where do I find your nearest location in the Logan-Ogden area?
Great question. The best way to find us is Google Dollar Loan Center near me, or go to don'tbebroke.com, where you can even apply online if you like.
Well, I use ChatGPT now.
I'm sure that would work too. The bottom line is it's worth the effort. We save customers a lot compared to other payday or title places, and we lend way more. We even give all new customers the first week's interest on us, sort of a free trial. There's no fee to apply, and they can keep this loan out for up to a year if they really need to.
Dollar Loan Center lends up to $5,000 in minutes. Stop by in Logan, Ogden, or any of our 15 Utah locations to meet our real friendly staff. You can also apply over the phone or online at don'tbebroke.com.
Licensed by the Utah Department of Financial Institutions. Subject to approval, limitations may apply. See website for details.
When you hear local radio, you're hearing more than a broadcast. You're hearing jobs. According to economists, local television and radio support thousands of jobs in Utah alone, not just in broadcasting, but in retail, construction, manufacturing, and small business. Every local ad creates opportunity. Every message fuels commerce. Every station strengthens the community. Local radio supports Utah's workforce, including right here in Cache Valley and Northern Utah. Cache Valley Media Group, driving the local economy.
The annual Greater Cache Valley Economic Summit, brought to you by Cache Valley Chamber of Commerce and Bank of Utah, is Tuesday, February 10th at the Riverwoods Conference Center. This year features a panel from USU, and keynote speaker is Tim Mahidi, founder and chief economist at Access Macro, a consulting company that makes smart banks smarter. Come enjoy a great day of learning, networking, and lunch catered by Elements Restaurant. It's the annual Greater Cache Valley Economic Summit, Tuesday, February 10th at the Riverwoods Conference Center. Register online now at cashchamber.com. That's cashchamber.com.
Discount Tire. So much more than a
Tire Store.
Stop what you're doing and get to Discount Tire and Automotive right now. Winter travel is here, and your family's safety depends on a properly serviced vehicle. They do oil changes, alignments, shocks, struts, and brakes. Everything needed to keep your family safe. This is urgent. Don't risk it. And right now, get 10% off all service. Plus, no credit check financing and 12 months, no interest. Get in now to Discount Tire and Automotive.
Hey there, this is Dr. Bertoldo from Mount Naomi Women's Health. We're thrilled to be your Best of Northern Utah Gold winner for Women's Clinic. It's an honor and a reminder of why we love doing what we do. Thanks for voting, and thanks for being part of our story.
Hi, it's Olivia Munn with my shelter pets, Frankie and Chance, reminding you that when you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the Humane Society of the United States, and Maddie's Fund.
Wrapping up today's show with a twofer for your moment of zen, sending you into your evening with a smile or at least some feel good. One is just a link on our Facebook page. I've put the entire photo gallery for the Westminster Dog Show. 150th annual show took place. The Westminster Kennel Club hosts this, and there are some funny dog faces in this. So if you just need a good laugh, if you're a fan of dogs, some of these close-up photos that the photographer got of dogs looking pretty done with the dog show, ready to go home is the way I would put it. Check that out. I've linked to it on our Facebook page. And the next is a calculator. I've posted a link to this as well. It's an online calculator where you enter some details about your home, how many people are there, times of day you're there, and more. And it will actually tell you how to and when to adjust your thermostat through the cooler, at least winter months, to save yourself between $75 and $100 a month. And it's really easy to do. It requires 3 adjustments to your thermostat, 3 times a day, an adjustment to your thermostat. And the calculator says that, on average, based on the feedback they've gotten from users, about 100% of the people who use the app save between $75 and $100 on their heat bill per month. I've linked to it on our Facebook page, but spoiler alert, first thing you got to do is lower the temperature in your house to 65. So if you're not